I mean, in some food banks, people with motor cars are turning up to help themselves to the food banks. That doesn't seem right to me.
But you'll still vote Conservative?
Yes, I will, yes.
And why is that?
Because I think they manage the money better than the Labour Party.
And why are you out here today?
Well, I'm out here today because this government is shambolically going from bad to worse.
So what were your thoughts on the budget announcement?
Well, I've heard one comment that benefits have been increased by 10%, yet we know that basic foodstuffs are increasing at a far higher rate than basic inflation.
I will be voting for the Tory party in the next election, regardless of what's happened today. And I would like to add,
I would feel happier if I felt that people higher up the scale were paying their fair share, and I don't really feel that people like low earners and people who are just about managing at the moment should be paying for economic failure.
In many of the points of it at least, trying to take money from the places where money shouldn't be taken in order to make savings.
What do you mean by that?
Well, such as...
I remember the days of Harold Wilson and James Callaghan when income tax was at 35%. And I would be happy to go back to the days of Harold Wilson where tax was high to pay for services.
I believe austerity is a political decision, a political choice. It's not necessary. The economy should work for us, not the other way round.
I think there is money if the government wants to find it. And I think there are savings that can be made elsewhere. We've got a number of people that are high wage earners who could take more of the burden.
People need help. It's not rocket science how to look after people, how to support them in their own homes where a lot of people could be happy.
Is it possible to achieve tackling climate change while also trying to tackle cost of living crisis?
I think there's pretty much room for everything if we put a mind to it.
But is there? If we're currently facing inflation and trying to stop going into recession, is there enough money going around, do you think?
Well, there has to be. There has to be. You know, I'm pleased that the benefits are going to be paid out in line with inflation. The pensions so in line with inflation. Those kind of things. I think it's a good thing. But they found money for the furlough scheme, 400 billion. That was available when before it wasn't. All of a sudden became available. And given the urgent need to fix the climate, I think enough money can be made available. And when they tax these oil companies, there's a certain amount already been contributed.
You know, high income earners are going to be taxed more as well. I've been hearing some people saying that doesn't sound like a conservative sort of policy. Would you agree with that?
Well, it's been likened to a Labour type approach, but there's absolutely no doubt that there are stealth tax rises within there. We're going to see a lot more people pulled into higher rates of tax as a result. You know, I think when I speak certainly to people in North East Fife in my constituency, people are certainly up for paying their own way and they accept that for good public services. But this feels like we are paying for the government's mistakes. They talk about the crisis in social care, they talk about the crisis in education, and they have been in power for 12 years. So, you know, where otherwise do you lay the door than at the door of the Conservatives?
I mean, in some food banks, people with motor cars are turning up to help themselves to the food banks. That doesn't seem right to me.
But you'll still vote Conservative?
Yes, I will, yes.
And why is that?
Because I think they manage the money better than the Labour Party. But there are good people in the Labour Party, very good people, and there are good people in the trades union movement.
But would you say that the last, it's however many years it's been, over 10 years it's been, do you think they've managed their money well, the Conservative governments?
I don't know, I'm not an expert, I don't know enough. I simply don't know enough.